Welcome to Bahamian Mathematics. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe, like, and share to this channel to see more videos just like this one. Today we will be looking at multiplying and dividing directed numbers. What do you do when the signs are the same and when they are different? Like the ones on the screen, plus 4 times minus 3, minus 6 divided by minus 2. Let's see how that works. A review on directed numbers. We're reminded that directed numbers really tell us the direction to go on the number line. And so if we have minus 4 or negative 4, and we start at 0, we go 4 spaces in the left direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're at minus 4 or negative 4. If we look at positive 4 or plus 4 or just 4, we start at 0, we go 4 spaces in the right direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are at 4. But what do you do when you want to multiply and divide directive numbers like plus 4 times minus 3 and minus 6 divided by minus 2? It looks like these two don't have any idea, so let's help them out. Let's think back to when we used to multiply whole numbers together. Multiplication is just the process of repeatedly adding the same group of numbers. So here are 2 blue circles. Here are 2 more blue circles. Here are 2 more blue circles. And so if we added 2 plus 2 plus 2, we can say that is the same thing as having 3 groups of 2. And we write that as a multiplication sentence. So 3 times 2. And on the number line, we can see 1, 2. That's one group of 2. Here's another group of 2. And here's the third group of 2. And that gives us 6. And so 3 times 2 equals 6. And we make note of the numbers that we started out with to multiply together. They are both positive numbers. Positive 3 times a positive 2 gives us a positive 6. We will need to remember this going forward, so let's write that down. 3 times 2 is equal to 6. And if you look at both of these numbers, they are both positive, and the answer is also positive. So when the signs are the same, they are both positive, the answer is also positive. Let's look at what happens now when we apply that to negatives. Remembering multiplication is the same as repeatedly adding the same group of numbers. Here, in the red circles, we will say that those are negative numbers. So this is negative 2. And here is, again, a set of negative 2. And here is a set of negative 2. Altogether, we have 3 groups of negative 2. And let's see how we would write that out as a multiplication problem. 3 sets of, or 3 multiplied by minus 2 gives us, on the number line, let's take a look. 1, 2, that's one set of negative 2. Here's another set of negative 2. And here is a third set of negative 2. So 3 groups of negative 2 give us minus 6. So 3 times minus 2 is equal to minus 6. We started out with a positive 3 multiplied by a negative 2. And we get a negative answer. So let's write that down as well. 3 multiplied by negative 2 gave us minus 6 or negative 6. The first number is positive, the second number is negative, and the answer is also negative. So when the signs are different, positive 3 multiplied by negative 2, those signs are different. The answer is negative. If we switched around the 3 and the minus 2 and we wrote it as minus 2 times a positive 3, it gives us minus 6 as well. Minus 2 is negative, 3 is positive, minus 6 is negative. We can see that when the signs are different in the question, 3 times minus 2 or minus 2 times 3, the signs are different. The answer is always negative when we multiply them together. Let's look back at when the signs were the same. 3 times 2 is equal to 6. If we take the negative numbers, minus 3 times minus 2, since they are also the same, they're both negative, the rule says the answer should also be positive. So minus 3 times minus 2 is equal to a positive 6. Let's summarize the rules then. When the signs are the same, when we are multiplying, like 3 times 2, or minus 3 times minus 2, the answer is positive. And in this case, both answers are positive 6. When the signs are different, like 3 times minus 2, or minus 2 times 3, the answer is negative. And in this case, minus 6 or negative 6. So let's look at an example. 5 times negative 2 is equal to what? We can see that 5 is positive, minus 2 is negative, and so we have different signs. That means that our answer is going to be negative. We know 5 times 2 is 10. What kind of 10 is it? It's a negative 10. Let's look at another example. Minus 3 multiplied by minus 4 is equal to what? We first look and say, are the signs the same or are they different? Well, we can see that they are the same, so we will use this rule here. And we know 3 times 4 is 12, and the answer is positive, so the answer is positive 12. Let's try one more. Minus 5 multiplied by positive 6. We can see that the signs are different. One is negative, one is positive. So the signs are different. We will use this rule here. We multiply 5 by 6 and we get 30. We know the answer has to be negative, so it's minus 30. And now let's think back to when we did division with whole numbers. How many groups of 2 are there in 6? And so here is 2, 4, 6. And we want to know how many groups of 2 can we make out of these 6 blue circles. Well, here is a group of 2, so that's one group. Here is a group of 2, that's another group, that's 2 groups. Here is another group of 2, that's a third group. So we have 3 groups of 2 in 6. And writing that as a division problem, we would say 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. On the number line, we can see that this is 6. And we will say here's one group of 2, here is 2 groups of 2, and here's a third group of 2 that gives us 6. When we look at the question, we can see that we started out with 2 positive numbers, and our answer is also positive. That sounds very similar to when we multiply 2 whole numbers as well. Now let's apply that very same thing to negatives. How many groups of minus 2 this time are there in minus 6? So let's use our red circles to depict a negative number. So here's negative 1, negative 2. Here's another negative 2, and here's another negative 2. That is negative 6. And here is a group of negative 2. How many groups of negative 2? Here's one group of negative 2. Here's another group of negative 2. That's 2 groups. Here's another group of negative 2. That's 3 groups. So we have 3 groups of negative 2 in negative 6. And if we look at that on the number line, we can see here's negative 6. How many groups of negative 2? Well, here's one group of negative 2. Here's another group of negative 2. Here's another group of negative 2. There are 3 groups of negative 2. And if we write a division problem, we would say minus 6 divided by negative 2 equals 3. There are 3 groups of negative 2 in negative 6. And look at what we started out with. Both were negative, but our answer is positive. And so let's look at the facts, the division facts, what we just did. 6 divided by 2 was equal to 3. Both of these are positive in the question, and the answer was also positive. So we can assume when the signs are the same in the question, the answer is also positive. Let's look at the second question. When we had minus 6 divided by minus 2, our answer was 3, positive 3. And again, in the question, minus 6 and minus 2 are negative, and the answer was positive 3. Let's look at division a different way. Let's break a group of minus 6 into 2 groups and figure out how much is in each group. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We will assume each one of those is negative. So this is negative 6. We want to put those into 2 groups. So here's one group, here's 2 groups. How do we put those minus 6 circles into 2 groups? Well, let's take these 3 and put them here. And let's take these 3 and put them here. And so now we have fit minus 6 into 2 groups. And this group has minus 3. This group also has minus 3. So there are 2 groups, each contain minus 3, and that gives us minus 6. And so if we wrote that as a division statement, we would say minus 6 divided by 2 groups is equal to minus 3 in each group. And let's look at that on the number line. Here's minus 6. Here are 2 groups, And in each group, there are -3. And when we started off with the question, we had a -6 divided by a +2, so those signs are different. And our answer is a -3. So let's write that fact down. -6 divided by 2 was equal to -3. The signs, this one was negative, this one was positive. The answer was negative. We started off with different signs, and our answer was negative. And if we use that same logic, and we used a +6 divided by a -2, this should also be -3. Here is +6 divided by -2. The signs are different. The answer is negative. Let's summarize those rules again. When the signs are the same, when we are dividing 6 divided by 2, they are positive, or -6 divided by -2, they are negative. The answer is positive. And in this case, it is +3. When we are using different signs, for example, a +6 divided by a -2, or -6 divided by a +2, the answer is negative. And in this case, the answer is -3. So let's use an example and see what we can find out. 15 divided by -3 is equal to, we first have to say, are the signs the same or are they different? We can see that they're different. One is positive, one is negative. And so we use this rule. When the signs are different, the answer is negative. So 15 divided by 3 is 5. And it has to be a -5 according to the rule up top. Let's try another one. -24 divided by -8 equals. Let's look at the signs. They are both negative, so we will use this rule. Signs are the same. The answer is positive. And so 24 divided by 8 gives us 3, a +3, denoted by the plus sign. You don't have to use the plus sign. You can just put 3 and that answer would be correct as well. And one more. -9 or -9 divided by +3 equals. We can see that the signs are different, so we use this rule. The answer is going to be negative, so we divide 9 by 3 and we get 3. And we know that's a -3 based on our rules so far. So let's put together the multiplication and the division rules and see how they relate to each other. When the signs are the same and we multiply, like 3 times 2 or -3 times -2, we said that we got an answer that was positive. When we divide 6 divided by 2, those are both positive. Or when we divide -6 by -2, those are both negative. We also get a positive answer. When the signs are different, like 3 times -2 or -2 times 3, our answer is negative. Or if we divide 6 divided by -2 or -6 divided by 2, those signs are different. Our answer is again a negative answer. And now it's quiz time. Using what we just learned, find the value of -4 times -6. You have 5 seconds. Time is up. The answer is +24. The signs are the same, and so the answer is going to be positive. Question 2. Find the value of 8 divided by -2. Time's up. 8 divided by 2 is 4, but it's a -4 because the signs are different. When the signs are different, we know the answer will be negative. Question 3. Find the value of -1 divided by 1. Time's up. The answer is -1. The signs are different again, so the answer is negative. The answer is -1. Question 4. Find the value of +7 multiplied by +3. Time's up. This is easy because we know this from our timetable. 7 times 3 is 21, and it's positive because the signs are the same. And last question. Find the value of 36 divided by -9. Are you getting it now? 36 divided by 9 is 4, but because the signs are different, the answer is negative, and the answer is -4. And now you've solved the mystery, hopefully, of multiplying and dividing directed numbers. Well done. Make sure to subscribe to this channel to see more videos just like this one.